Hi, it's Lucy here, and if you've ever wondered about the difference between PET and washi tape stickers, especially when the designs are the same, I think you'll find this video really helpful. I'm using tapes from the washi tape shop today, and I've got the exact same designs in both materials. I've added a few stickers onto a white piece of card here, one set in washi and one in PET, so you can see the difference side by side, and I'm trying to catch the light. You'll probably notice the PET has a very thin, slightly glossy edge, which gives it a different finish compared to the softer, more papery look of washi. And I'll be creating duplicate cards, one using the washi stickers and one with the PET, and hopefully this gives you a better idea of which one might suit your projects best. Let's get started. I'm just tracing around the outside of the die I'll be using, and this helps me plan out my scene and gives me a nice guide to work within. If you don't have die cutting tools, you can simply draw a rectangle about the size you want your scene to be. It works just as well. Then I'll start picking out some gorgeous images to bring it all to life, and just look how many different designs are on this tape. The loop is a whole meter long, and since there are 5 meters on the roll, you actually get 5 of every image. They're all pre-cut too, which makes things even easier. And if you've ever had trouble peeling the stickers off the tape, especially if you've got short fingernails like me, here's a little trick that really helps. Just peel off the surround tape first. It usually comes away nice and easily and leaves you with just the images, which are much simpler to lift and use from there. I'm starting off with one of the PET tapes, and I just had to use these flying mice for my first card. They're too cute to resist. This tape is actually just one of the sets I'll be using today. I'll be working with 3 different sets in total and making 12 cards, 6 different designs with a PET and washi version of each. And of course you can use whatever's in your stash too. And for this one, you could really use any of the images for the bottom part of this scene, but I'm going with a few more of these cute little mice to complete it. Once I've added all the images I want, I'll die cut the rectangle and pop it onto some red cardstock. I've already made one of each design off camera, and now I'll be creating the duplicates on video. I've made a few small changes from the originals just to keep it interesting and give you 2 slightly different takes on each card, and at the end of making each card I will show you the other one. For this one, I'm using a different red cardstock. One's a brighter red and the other one is more of a burgundy, and I'm curious to see if you prefer one over the other. I'm layering the sentiment 3 times to give it a bit of dimension and a nice sturdy feel. And once it's glued together, I like to place an acrylic block on top while it dries, just to keep everything flat and help the glue set properly. And then I'll add the scene to a card front and finish it off by popping on the sentiment. Now let's take a look at the duplicate. This one uses the washi tape version. And for this card, I've only layered the sentiment twice. Either way works really nicely. It just depends on the look and feel you want. And let's take a look at them side by side. Can you spot the difference between the PET and washi versions? I honestly love both materials, and there isn't a huge difference at first glance. The main thing I notice is that when the PET catches the light, you can see a thin glossy border around the images, and the colours appear just a little more vibrant. And the PET also layers really well since it has that clear border. It makes overlapping elements a bit easier, so really both have their own little advantages. Let's move on to the next design and see what you think of this one. For this next card, I'm starting with the background and choosing from one of these 3 washi tapes. They come as a set. I'll just give you a quick look at them. I used the pink one for the duplicate card, so for this version, I'm going with the lovely butterfly design, and that way you'll get to see how both of them look as background patterns. And to build the background, I'm laying down strips of washi on a piece of white card that's a little larger than I'll need. I'm not too fussy with exact measurements. Honestly, I'll never use up all my supplies, so I'd rather just have fun with it. It's much easier and way more enjoyable to cut things down after than to try to make it perfect from the start. And I only needed about 2.5 strips, so I've trimmed off the extra half strip and saved it for later. I've got a cute idea for it, so I've just popped it back on the backing sheet for now. I'll add the piece to my card front, and then next I'm creating 3 little scenes inside circles. I've traced around the dies I'll be using to help plan the layout, and I'm inking a soft green ground using Distress Oxide ink in peeled paint. And then I'll also be adding a very light blue sky with tumbled glass, just enough to give it a subtle background. I don't want to cover the whole circle. I'm using the washi tape version of the images this time, and I've gone back to the same tape set I used on the first card. Once I added the largest scene, I noticed the grass had a slightly milky border. It only shows because of the green ink underneath, so I'm just going over that area with a little more green ink to help it blend in. I'll keep adding a few more of these cute little images to fill out the scenes. What do you think of them? I feel like they'd work beautifully for both adults and kids. There's a real charm to them that suits all ages. And once the scenes are finished, I'll die cut the 3 circles. For the layers underneath, I'm using some old pattern paper that's been sitting in my stash for ages. It's not really my style anymore, but it's perfect for using as scrap layers. It's a great way to give them a purpose and also save a bit on foam tape. Plus, I didn't want the circles raised quite as high as foam tape would make them, so this is a nice in-between option for a bit of lift without too much bulk. I'll add a few extra bits of scrap paper underneath the parts of the circles that don't overlap other layers. That way each one sits nice and level on the card. It's a small step, but it really helps everything look neat and finished, especially when you're not using foam tape. I'll pop an acrylic block on top of the circles while the glue dries. And while that's setting, I'll get my sentiments sorted. I've got 2 for this card, and I've already trimmed them into strips, but I want to round the edges using my corner punch. And I just love the look of the rounded edges. It gives them a softer finish, especially if, like me, you find straight cuts a bit tricky. I'll add the sentiments with a couple of scrap layers underneath, just like I did with the circles, to give them a bit of a lift without needing foam tape. And before we take a look at the cards, I just wanted to quickly show you the matching envelopes I made. I've simply added a sticker or 2 to each one, and isn't that such a cute touch? It's such an easy way to tie everything together and make the card feel extra special. And that's this card all done. Now let's take a look at the 2 side by side. Can you see how the grass in the main image blends more smoothly into the ink when I use the PET stickers? That clear border really helps everything sit nicely on top of the background. And then here's the other envelope, and I actually end up making one for every card. I even pop a little sticker or 2 inside the cards as well, just for that extra bit of fun. I'll show you all of that a bit later on. But for now, we'll get started on the next set of cards. I'm switching things up now with a different set of washi and PET stickers. This one's full of adorable cats, dogs, birds, and lots of little coordinating elements. And for my first card using this set, I'm going with the birdhouses and birds. I'm creating a small scene just big enough to fit my rectangle die. These would make such sweet welcome home or new home cards, don't you think? I've cut the grass from one of the other images on the tape. It'll be perfect for this scene too. And after I've added the stickers, I'll lightly ink a soft sky, and then I'm going to add some ink to what will be my border. I'm using Victoria Velvet ink. I'm only inking the outer edges of the scallops border since the middle will be hidden behind the main rectangle layer. I'll spray it with a little water to give it a bit of texture. And I'll be die cutting these 2 pieces out using a rectangle and scalloped border die set. And then next I want to add a bit of interest to the background, so I'm using this embossing folder. It'll give a subtle texture while still keeping the background white. It's just a nice way to add something extra without taking away from the main scene. So let's take a look at the 2 cards side by side, and I've used 2 different sentiments here, and honestly it's quite hard to see much difference between the washi and PET versions on these ones. If anything, the only real difference I notice is where I've overlapped the grass with the birdhouse stand. It blends a little more smoothly with the PET thanks to that clear edge. I also used a different embossing folder on each one just to mix things up a bit and show how subtle changes can create a slightly different feel. Alright, are you ready to get onto the next card? I'm using the same tape again, but this time I'll be working with a die that cuts out 4 stitched squares. I'll start by tracing around the outside of the die and marking little dots at the center of each side. That way I can lightly draw in where each square will be cut and plan out a mini scene in each one. If you don't have this kind of die, you can absolutely just cut your squares with a trimmer. I just really love the stitched borders and the soft rounded edges you get with die cutting. It gives such a lovely finish. I've added lots of little elements to fill the gaps, and now that I've die cut the squares, before I put the tape away, I'm going to add a few stickers to the envelopes. I think these 2 cards would be perfect for little girls. They'd be so excited to get something special in the mail. And just adding a couple of cute stickers to the envelope makes it instantly feel like happy mail before they've even opened it. All right, back to the card, and I'm cutting a square from white card that's a bit larger than the 4 stitched squares combined. This will be used to create borders for each of them. I'm not measuring anything too precisely here, just giving each square a small even border. I'm adding some of the pink and red washi tape over the white card first, then trimming off the extra so I can see the edges clearly. And from there, I'll cut it into 4 smaller squares, using the first one as a template to keep them all the same size. Then I'll distress the edges of all the squares to give them a bit more texture. And this version is actually quite different from my original comparison card this time. And I have to admit, I think I prefer the first one. You'll see that one shortly, so you can compare the two. I'm just going to glue everything together now and pop an acrylic block on to help it all dry nice and flat. For the card front, I'll create a full washi tape background, and this card is 14 centimeters square, while the original comparison card is slightly smaller at 13.5 centimeters. I've added a simple white border around each of the 4 squares too, just to help them stand out a bit more against the washi. And to finish it off, I'm adding a flower and sentiment from my stash. Now let's take a look at the original and then see them side by side. What do you think? Do you prefer the one I made off camera as well? I always love hearing which card ends up being your favorite, and it's so fun how different everyone's answers are. This next tape is just as adorable as the other 2 I've shown, and I'm going to use it to make a cute card that would be perfect for dads or grandfathers, and another one that's great for kids too. I think I mentioned earlier, each of these tapes is 5 meters long. That's over 16 feet, and the image loop is 1 meter, so there's a huge variety of designs to work with. And while I'm creating this one in a similar way to what I've shown earlier, I'm just arranging it in a scene that's going to be more of an arch shape this time. And while I'm working on that, I went to the washi tape shop's site, and I wanted to let you know that they're having a flash sale at the moment, and there's 18% off store wide with the code FLASH. I'm not sure how long the sale will last, but if you happen to miss it, you can always use my regular code LucyPatrick10, all one word, for 10% off. And I'll have everything written in the description box below, along with all the product links, so you don't have to remember anything unless you're heading straight to their site, of course. And there's also free international shipping on all orders over $30 US. And you'll also find all the other products I've used today listed down there, like the dies and embossing folders, just to make everything easier to find. And if you do choose to shop through my links, I'll receive a small commission at no extra cost to you, and it's a lovely way to support my channel, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I only ever share products that I truly love, so I know you'll enjoy using them as much as I do. And what do you think of this card as a little something for a male loved one? I think it's super cute. I've used 2 different background styles. One is a soft green cardstock embossed with polka dots, and the other is a really old paper I found in my stash that has this fun, slightly splattered paint look. I love how different the 2 backgrounds feel, even though the card design is the same. I've added a little scene inside this card, so let's do the same for the other one too. And this time I'm going to use the little bunnies. They're so sweet. And I'll give them a little grassy ground and a soft sky just at the top. And that way there's still plenty of room to write a message inside. And of course, I couldn't resist adding a cute little pilot bear sticker to the envelope too. These are the last cards for today, and I'm using a smaller arch die from a nesting set. There's 5 sizes in total, and the largest one actually cuts a rectangle too. It's perfect for Aussie card sizes at 10.5 by 14.8 centimeters. I think that's slightly longer than US card sizes, so if you're in the US, you could just trim off any overhang or simply stick to using just the arches. These dies have a lovely stitch detail too, which adds a nice touch. I'm creating 2 little scenes on the arches and inking them just like the others. Because we're outdoors again today, so it's grass and sky all the way. These are going to be fun birthday cards with loads of animals at the party. How cute is that? I don't often make children's cards, and maybe you're one of the lovely crafters who's asked me for ideas, so I hope you're enjoying seeing these come together. I'd love to know, has this video changed how you see PET and washi tape stickers or helped you notice the difference between the two? Let me know in the comments if you have a favourite or a new preference. I'd love to hear. For this floral border sticker, I'm going to cut it in half lengthways so I can use it as a pretty floral ground on both of the arch scenes. I'll do the same with the cloud sticker, just cutting it in half so I can add a bit of sky to each scene. I'm keeping the background white but adding a bit of subtle texture with a leafy embossing folder this time. I've popped a few pieces of scrap card underneath each arch so they don't sit completely flat, and this gives just a little bit of dimension without needing full foam tape. You could definitely use foam tape if you'd like more lift. And to make sure everything sticks really well to the embossed background, I'm using both double-sided tape and glue. There's less surface area making contact when there's texture behind, so I find this combo works best. I'm rounding the corners on my sentiment strips again. I just love how that softens the look. I have 2 websites you can check out if you're after corner punches, Journal Say and Uniquely Creative. They both sell them. I'll also add a few white Nuvo drops to finish this card off, and then we can take a look at both versions of this design side by side. So this is the PET one I just made, and then we'll see the washi tape one I made previously. What do you think of this card design? I like the use of the 2 arches to create 2 scenes on one card. I haven't done that before. And then next, let's take a look at them all, including envelopes and insides of the cards now. There's still more to see. And if you're enjoying this video, I'd love it if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribed if you haven't already. It really helps my channel grow and lets me keep creating and sharing these ideas with you. And just a quick reminder, the washi tape shop is having that flash sale right now with 18% off store-wide and free shipping on orders over $30 US. I'm not sure how long the sale will last, so if you're watching this later, you can still use my code LucyPatrick10 for 10% off anytime. You'll find all the details and links in the description box below. And speaking of which, the description box is also where you'll find links to everything I've used today. Many of those are affiliate links, which means I may earn a small commission at no extra cost to you if you choose to shop through them. It really helps support my channel, so thank you if you do. I also wanted to mention that I have a couple of Pinterest boards, one where I pin most of my finished cards and another with products I either have or love. You might spot some things there that I haven't shared yet, but are in my hot little hands waiting to be turned into something fun. I'm also on Instagram where I've posted nearly 2,500 cards, so feel free to follow along there if you're after more inspiration too. I really hope this video has helped give you a bit more clarity around the differences between washi and PET stickers. It's kind of amazing how far washi tape has come, isn't it? From simple decorative strips to these beautifully detailed scene building designs. It's such a fun evolution to see, especially when you love paper crafting as much as we do. And whether you've used these materials before or they're brand new to you, I hope you've picked up a few tips and ideas today. I'd love to hear what you think about the tapes, the cards, or even just the video in general. Do you have a favourite card? Did anything surprise you? Let me know in the comments below. And a big thank you and hugs this week to Chaya, or is it Kaya? I'm so sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, so please feel free to let me know. I really love to get names right. But I truly appreciate you using the Buy Me a Coffee link to send me some coffees. That was so thoughtful of you. And also a big thank you to Synergific and Lorraine W for supporting my channel through YouTube. Super thanks last week. It honestly means so much to me. And you can find all the ways to support my channel in the description box below. Just tap the little arrow or the word more under the video title to open it up. The description box has everything you need to know about this video all in one place. Here's another video you may like coming up. Just click on the thumbnail on screen now. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Happy crafting and bye for now.